So in this chapter we are going to take a closer look at the active record database migration and learn about some useful features and time-saving shortcuts. We'll start by learning how to create the database using Rails command from the command line and not from by going into the database and creating the database manually using SQL. If we want to manually create the database and configure our Rails app, then we need to follow the some of the steps, like first log into the mysql database, then create a database. After that we need to create another user for the database and grant the permission, and finally we need to configure our Rails app to use the database. But here we want Rails to actually create the database, but there still needs to be a mysql user, given that he has privilege to create the database. So if we have a mysql user that can log into the database from our Rails app, then we can use it to configure our Rails app. So the database does not need to be a mysql, or it can also be a postgres. For example, I have created two projects here, and one uses mysql as a database and another uses postgres as a database. So our aim here is to use the Rails command to create the database directly from the command line in our project, and just not go to the mysql or postgres database by logging in and then creating a database and again creating a user and granting permission, and all those steps is pretty much hassle, and we just want to focus on productivity, right? So we need to do this. So if you were to just configure our Rails app using the mysql, then you need to just grant the privilege by using grant all privileges and all those steps. But here the first thing you need to notice is you must have a user that can actually log into the database. So I want to just create a new user and grant the privilege for the mysql here. So let me just, I have, for example, I want to just show you two things here. I have two projects, and one uses mysql database and another I have configured using the postgres. So to generate this database I have used two commands here. So I have just added the Rails new project mysql and database. I used mysql like this to generate this project, this first one, and to generate the next one. So this is the command to generate the database that uses the postgres. So if you don't know this, then you should actually notice and just put this -d flag in while generating the new project. So after knowing this, so now I want to enter into the mysql and just create a new user. Okay, you need to have the user so that he can create the database by logging in from our Rails app. So mysql user as a root, and I want to just enter the password here. So now you can see here I have logged into the mysql as a root. So now I want to create a new user here who can log into the mysql and create a new database. So the command to create a new user is grant all privilege on *.* to name of the user. So I want to say this project let's say project, let's say web development, web dev, see, let's say like that. And another thing we need to do is add localhost and identified by, and you need to enter the password here. So I'll just write the password here and put this semicolon here and press enter. So as you can hear, we are just creating a new user that is web dev, and that can connect via the localhost and not by some remote IP address, and we are giving the password for that user. So we have created the user. Now this user can log into mysql and create the databases, so new database. So here the asterisk period asterisk means that the user has access to all the database and all the tables, so he can also create a new database. So we have created the new user, but we don't have databases for this project is. So if you want to check the database that are present, so all you can do is show databases. So here we don't have any project now, like project mysql development test, and so we'll check just later if that created or not. So I am inside this project mysql, so I want to open sublime text first. This to just close this, and now I need to configure the database. So here to configure the database, here in database.yaml file, okay. So the username we have created is web dev, and password is password, right? So just save this file. So if you don't understand what this database.yml file does, is then see here that this is the default configuration that is being inherited by the development, test and production environment. So in the development, this default configuration is being inherited. You can also see that like this. So if you want to override the things in development, just you can just go here and just like username and password and just enter here, and this will just override. For now that we are just good with it. So the next thing I want to do is now create the database and run the command rails command to create the database, since we have given this username and password. So the command to do so is rails db create and hit enter. So here is no scene, so let's run the bundler here. It is installing mysql zine. Okay, it has installed mysql zine. So now let's create the database. It may take a few times. So as you can see here, it has created the database project on dash mysql under development and under test itself. So if we have to do this manually, then we should have created by going into mysql. So let's check inside the mysql. So as you can see here, this rails command has created the two databases for here, and we are just happy with it. So this is for mysql. Now we want to see for this postgres. Okay, so for postgres, to the command to just open, I have already installed postgres in this machine. So first thing we need to do is have a user and just password for logging into the postgres. So to open the postgres terminal, so all we need to do is sudo -i -u postgres. So enter the password. So here we can see that just open the postgres prompt. So psql, I want to list all the tables and databases in here. So you can see here, these are all the databases that I have right now in the postgres. I want to just quit by entering q here. So exit out of this prompt, like backslash and q. So all you need to do now is to create a new user in postgres, is create user dash create database dash login, and the another flag we need to have for this is -p and space -p and the name of the user. So say web web dev p. I will just write web dev p. Okay, so just hit enter. So enter the password for this new user. So I'm going to write the same one, web dev p. So all the things have been just configured. We have created a new user that can create a database and log in. So let me just open up and again configure our database here. So database.yaml development, and we just need username is webdevp, password is also p. We save this and just let's run rails db create. What is the iterary name? So let's see. Authentication. So let's also give a host. So as you can see here, we have forgot to use host here, and this has created a new database. So if you want to see this, if this has created, so open up the font, list out the databases, and see here this has already created the two databases, development and test. So this is all the things that I want to cover in this chapter. So in the next chapter we are going to learn more about migration, and thanks for watching.